Alright, so today in this video, we are going to be talking about the hero's journey. The hero's journey consists of 12 steps in which a hero goes on a quest. Many stories that have a hero and a quest, usually follow the hero's journey. However, each story is different with its own plot and its own characters. Because of that, most of the steps in the hero's journey may not be followed, or they might not be in order. Today we're going to be talking about the hero's journey in the movie Doctor Strange. First, we have the ordinary world. Here we meet the world-famous Dr. Stephen Strange. Dr. Strange is a renowned neurosurgeon who leads a luxurious and successful lifestyle. Because of his triumph and deeds in the medical world, Strange has won many awards. Despite his amazing feats, though, Strange is an egoistic person who believes he can accomplish anything by himself without anyone's help. At the beginning of the movie, Strange saves a person who is deemed too late to be saved. Saving the lives of people is a normal thing that Stephen Strange does every day. Next up, we have the call to adventure. After Strange has miraculously survived the devastating car crash, his hands, unfortunately, did not receive the same fate. Despite the various medical treatments, Strange's hands were not as functional as before. Because of this, he could not resume his profession as a neurosurgeon. Then at a physical therapy session, one doctor tells him that it is possible to regain the strength of his hands. Stephen Strange is directed to Jonathan Pangborn, whose severe leg injuries had been mysteriously and perfectly treated. Pangborn tells Strange about Kathmandu, a place in Nepal, where he learned magic and uses it to make his leg functional again. Strange knows that he would have to risk everything for this journey, so he sells most of his possessions, only takes what he can carry with him, and then heeds the call to learn the mystic arts that'll help him. Now we have the meeting with the mentor. Once Strange arrives in Nepal, he encounters the Ancient One. The Ancient One is a wise sorcerer who lives in Kamartaj, a place resided in the Himalayas. Strange talks to the Ancient One about his problem, to which the Ancient One responds by talking about the body's inner soul, controlling one's body, and being at peace with it in order to stimulate the nerves to regain control of his hands. At first, Strange believes everything he hears is false and made up. Strange had devoted himself to science when he was becoming a doctor and could not fathom the Ancient One's words. Then the Ancient One shows Strange what is truly reality, how there are multiple universes, dimensions, and worlds, and proof that magic does exist. The Ancient One proceeds to tell Strange that he should always be ready to learn. This information and evidence of magic fuels Strange's eagerness to learn the mystic arts in order to heal his hands. The next part of this journey is crossing the first threshold. Because of Strange's arrogance and disrespectful manner, the Ancient One refuses to teach Dr. Strange. Eventually, with enough persuasion and consideration from another student, the Ancient One allows Dr. Strange to become her pupil. However, the Ancient One's previous encounter with teaching an apprentice led to dangerous consequences as he became consumed by dark magic. In order to test Strange's patience, courage, and worthiness, the Ancient One took Strange to the top of Mount Everest and left him there. Strange passes the test as he uses the little magic that he learned to make his way back to Kamartaj. Here we have the refusal of the call to adventure. After Strange's extensive training of the mystic arts, the Ancient One offers him an opportunity to protect the Earth. However, Strange has other plans. He simply wants to use his powers to help him regain control of his hands so he can return to being a neurosurgeon. He has no interest in becoming a sorcerer. The main call was that Strange goes to Kathmandu to become a sorcerer. However, Strange is now refusing that call as he just wants to become a neurosurgeon, like before. Despite Strange's wishes to become a neurosurgeon once again, he could not allow innocent people to be harmed. As you may know, Strange is excelling while learning the mystic arts. He is so steadfast in his learning that he learns faster than the students that have been there before him. This leads into the next part of the hero's journey, the tests, allies, and enemies. He practices every day and makes a friend whose name is Mordo. This is a student that convinced the Ancient One to teach Strange. Strange also learns about the different sanctums, which are practically generators of a force field that repel the dark mystical beings from overtaking Earth. One of the sanctums is in New York, which is where he and Mordo go to defend against Caecilius, the Ancient One's previous apprentice that was consumed by the dark magic. Here they all fight across New York, and finally, Dr. Strange and Mordo protect the New York sanctum from being conquered by Caecilius and his followers. Now we have the approach to the inmost cave. At this stage, Strange and Mordo have just finished fighting Caecilius. Despite the effort, though, the Ancient One was killed by her former protege. Knowing that he must protect Earth, Strange makes his way to the Hong Kong Sanctum. He sees everyone and everything destroyed as the main villain is approaching Earth. We have finally reached the climax of this story. This is the ordeal. As Dormammu, the main villain, approaches the Earth with the Dark Dimension, Doctor Strange knows that he must confront the villain. However, Strange realizes something that he has not noticed before. Despite the pessimistic views of the other students, Doctor Strange notices a new way and does not give up hope to save his planet. The previous Stephen Strange would have given up like all the other people. That Stephen Strange has now symbolically died. Strange basically introduced time to the Dark Dimension. Since time does not exist there is eternal life in the Dark Dimension and everything lasts forever. Doctor Strange made an endless time loop, and every time Dormammu obliterated him, he would only reappear to be destroyed by Dormammu again. This was a constant set of actions caused by the time loop, and thus Dormammu was Dr. Stephen Strange's prisoner. Eventually, Dormammu gave up and bargained with Doctor Strange. Doctor Strange made him promise that he would never return to Earth ever again. After the ordeal, we now have the reward. Doctor Strange realizes that it's okay to accept the help of other people. Because he trusted the Ancient One to help him, Strange's hands are now fully functional with the help of magic. He also realizes the importance of being selfless and helping to others. Originally, Strange wanted to just go back to being a neurosurgeon, but he gave that dream up when he decided to save his whole planet from Dormammu. Now that the adventure is over, we have the road back. After everything is over, Doctor Strange stays as a sorcerer to protect Earth. Doctor Strange returns back to New York City. Instead of finding new places to protect or exploring new places, Doctor Strange gives back the powerful Time Stone and resides in New York to protect that sanctum. The road back in this story is uniquely depicted as the protagonist goes back to his regular setting, but as a different being, literally. In his resurrection, Doctor Strange is reborn from an egoistic and arrogant neurosurgeon to a humble and optimistic mystical protector. He is now the guardian and protector of the New York Sanctum. Doctor Strange, now known as the Sorcerer Supreme, accepts his fate and acknowledges the existence of magic. Finally, we reach the last step of the hero's journey, the return with the elixir. Doctor Strange definitely changed the world as he literally saved it. He saved lives of billions of people while he risked his own life. Now, because of him, the people of Earth can now continue their daily lives. The world just found itself a spectacular new hero. So I hope this Doctor Strange example helped you understand the hero's journey more. Thank you for watching.